Hey guys, I'm the Comics Kid 2099, and I wanted to talk to you guys about a movie that I watched last week. The movie is called Death Race 2000. This is not to be confused with anything that came out in the last 15 years or so. There was a movie with Jason Statham that was, I think it was just called Death Race, and then there was like Death Race 2 and Death Race 3, which were like direct to TV. Not any of those movies, but the one from like 1974 or something like that. It's from the 70s. I haven't looked it up to see exactly what year it's from. And it has David Carradine and Sylvester Stallone. Those are the two big names that are in it, and I'm sure there's some other names you may recognize if you're more familiar with 1970s cinema than I am. And if you've never heard of this movie, it is one of the most insane things that I've ever seen. Basically, the premise is, of course, this movie it was made in the 70s, but it's set in the distant future of the year 2000, and it is set in the year 2000, and there is this race that happens once a year called the Death Race, and it starts in New York and goes all the way to, I guess, Los Angeles. It is a cross-country race, and you've got, I think, 5 cars, and the rules are these people are just trying to win. That's the first thing, but also, if you can run over any civilians who are just on the road at some point, then you get points for all the people that you run over. So you get more points for elderly people and for babies and stuff like that. And it's really weird. And I guess that's where I want to start. Number one, this movie, I get the feeling that it really doesn't know what it wants to be. On the one hand, it has an absolutely banana pants concept that is just way out there. And yet, at the same time, you've got this character named Frankenstein. He is the hero of this story, and he is a participant in this race. And you've got these characters in the story who think that this death race is one of the most deplorable things ever, and they are actually trying to, these freedom fighters, they are trying to kidnap Frankenstein because Frankenstein is friends with the president, and they are thinking if they kidnap Frankenstein, they can negotiate so that the death race is going to end. And it turns out these people, these freedom fighters, they have inserted one of their own into the navigator seat of Frankenstein's car, because all of these cars have someone, whoever the driver is, someone of the opposite sex is their navigator, and it is heavily implied that in addition to telling them like, hey, you need to take this road on the right, it will cut our journey by like 3 miles, in addition to telling them that, you also get the privilege of getting to sleep with them at night. And so that's another just very strange, very odd thing about this movie. And on the one hand, you've got this character named Frankenstein, and he is played up as being very aloof, very much a loner. He doesn't like associating with people, and he acts like he hates these races just as much as the freedom fighters do, and yet he's been racing in this race for a very long time. And we find out close to the end of the movie that he is wanting to win this race so that he can shake the hands of the president, and he has this cybernetic hand with a hand grenade on it. So it's a hand grenade. Get it? Because it's funny. And he is going to shake the president's hand and then kill himself and kill the president. And then I guess he thinks that the races will end that way. But the problem is, we are told in this movie that Frankenstein has won the races many times before. And it doesn't make any sense at all. If he's won before, why didn't he take those chances back in like 1998? Why didn't he take that chance to kill the president then, if he really thinks that killing the president is going to solve anything as far as the death race is concerned? And that's something that they don't really touch on. It just seems like, oh, we need a happy ending, so we reveal that Frankenstein has something in common with his navigator, and then we can have a forced love story, which, speaking of which, it is a very forced love story. For about 90% of the movie, I get the feeling that the navigator is just using Frankenstein so that she can try and help the freedom fighters get their way and kidnap Frankenstein. But then, in the last 10 minutes of the movie, we find out that after the president has been killed, Frankenstein has somehow been elected president. He's married this girl, and now it's a completely happy ending. They've abolished the death race. And once again, after they've abolished the death race, you've got this one really annoying reporter, and then they run over him because he's being annoying, and he keeps saying, you can't get rid of the death race, people love it. So then they run over him with their car. And I get the feeling this movie, it has a really insane premise where all of these drivers are running over civilians to get points in this race. And you want to do that insane premise. You want to play with it. You want it to be as insane as it sounds, but at the same time, you want a protagonist who is very relatable, and you don't want a protagonist who is running over old people. So you're kind of caught in this rock and a hard place situation where Frankenstein has been racing in this race for years. He's won this race several times, but then we find out later in the movie he doesn't really like the race. He only wants to win so that he can kill the president. And that just feels very bonkers. It doesn't really work with what we've seen in this movie. And at the same time, we've got Frankenstein, who seemingly he's the most heroic version of all of these people. You've got all these other racers who they would be very willing to run over these old people, but he goes and runs over the doctors and the nurses who are putting these old people out in the streets. And okay, but that's still not a very heroic thing to do. You're still running over civilians. And then at one point he runs over the Pope, who's like officiating over the race. And it's like, okay, you're running over this Pope guy, but is he a bad guy? You just ran over him for seemingly no real reason. And I get the feeling that these people wanted to have Frankenstein be kind of this heroic guy who's in a no-win situation, but they did not play him being very heroic. And then at the very end of the movie, out of nowhere, after they kill the president, I guess that means that you get to be president, and then they abolish the death race. Why? Because they needed something to have a happy ending for. And I'm certain that there are people out there who think that this is one of the greatest movies of all time. And I'm sure on a very superficial, turn your brain off and just enjoy the insanity that's on the screen level, I'm sure that it is a very fun movie. And there's aspects of it that are very fun, but this movie has absolutely no substance in it at all. And I think when you have a premise that is people are running over civilians trying to get points in this cross-country race, you really can't expect there to be a lot of substance. But then the movie tries to put substance there, and it just does not work. This movie is schlock, 100% schlock, and I will fight anyone who says differently, because this movie, I cannot find a single thing about it that is redeeming, other than the fact that it's really fun to see Sylvester Stallone really hamming it up 1,000%. It's really fun to see stupid, crazy stuff like a hand grenade and stuff like that. But as far as, like, things that a good movie would have, this movie has none of that. I'm not sure, I don't think I will ever watch this movie again, unless I was, like, with a bunch of friends and we just wanted to, like, waste time watching something really stupid. But I don't think I could ever see myself just watching this by myself because I have a hankering to watch the Death Race movie again. I really don't think I can see myself doing that. So, that's what I had to say about this movie. What do you guys think? Do you like this movie? If you do, tell me why in the comments below. I'm not trying to just be a jerk and say if you like this movie you're stupid. I'm not trying to say that. I just really don't think there's anything worthwhile about this movie. But if you think that there is, please tell me in the comments below, and I will read your comment, and I will take it very seriously what you have to say. I may not agree with you, but that's okay. It's okay if we disagree with each other. If you like this video, be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, and I will be back tomorrow with a review of an episode of Batman the Animated Series. So, I will see you guys later. Have a great day.